Try and keep it.
Oh, which one? Oh, that one?
No, that's your camera.
Oh, I get my own
That's
camera?
his camera.
That's his camera?
You two are on that camera.
Oh, yeah.
That's 3-shot. That's Chris.
Oh.
The host always gets
Yeah. All right.
Sorry,
He's
the way
he's
it
the
is.
underboss. I understand. I don't mess with the underboss's decision.
The shadow boss is not here, so
I know.
I'm in the hot
Well, you know
He's
what?
the
I
light
would
boss.
like to actually have her in the seat maybe one time.
seat. Maybe.
Talking about DuckTales,
Good
maybe?
luck with that.
Oh, if we're talking about DuckTales, she might.
Well, she might. She might.
Ah.
So,
I didn't want to be the only one not wearing glasses, so.
so yeah, I might throw it out there.
Ready to go?
Yes. All right.
All right, Chris, we're rolling. Ready when you are.
Okay. All right. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Pop Culture Talk with the Great Stories team. We got Phil Hamill.
Hello.
We got our friend. Oh,
Oh my God, who's
blew his spot.
Yes, you did. It's Grimlock Stonehammer, if you don't know, but that's fine.
Grim.
I'll bleep it out, don't worry.
It's don't worry about it. Underboss is under a lot of pressure because I'm here right now. We understand. Don't worry about it.
All right. Well, now that we got over it, he didn't dwarf rage on me. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah,
so,
That's
you're
why I'm
lucky.
here,
I'm just
on
saying.
the wall.
and the dwarf rage might come though because we're going to be talking about some Elflings. Is it today?
No,
Right.
Gelflings, not Elflings.
Oh, Gelflings.
We don't
Excuse
talk
me.
about 20 years.
What's the difference
elves.
between an Elfling and a Gelfling?
Well, let's see, because Gelflings, the females have wings, and elves are just elves.
Okay.
They're just,
and
they're elflings, but there's a G in front of it.
that's bad. I raised it up for me. All right, there we go.
There's a big.
That's the big
that's
difference.
No, there's more of a difference in that. That's okay.
Here we go. Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance. That's going to be our feature topic for this go around.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into some additional stuff, some stuff that we neglected to mention in last month's episode.
Yeah, they did.
This guy brought it up.
And some stuff that actually got announced after we shot. So, not
Yeah.
everything is our fault. But
Mostly.
we would be remiss in not mentioning some of the Sony Marvel incidents and,
Yeah, that
and some of the
debacle.
other announcements that have come out of D23.
Great chaos. Rage.
So, without further ado, I know that the talk of the Dark Crystal was chief on the mind of our friend Grim here. He really was pushing for us to talk about this show, and so I have to admit, I was not a fan of the original movie as a young child.
Because
As
it
a young
scared
child-
you, right? Did
No,
sketches
I
scare you?
loved horror movies as a
Oh,
kid.
really?
I was
And
all
it did
about horror
scare you.
movies.
All right.
No, I don't know, the puppetry. I didn't really enjoy the Dark Crystal when I was a young child. So, when I heard about, the announcement of the Netflix
You're like,
original,
oh, it's gonna stink.
I was like,
Ah.
big
know what you're
whoop.
talking
Everybody
about.
else is like, oh, I'm so excited for this. And I'm like, oh, really? Is it really that exciting? Come on.
See-
So here we are. I did actually force myself to watch the whole series.
You can thank
So
me,
you'll be-
guys. Thank me.
And
Yep.
and it was Grimlock here in my head echoing, let's talk about this. Oh God, he's forcing me to do it. So I did it.
And what were your thoughts?
Yeah,
I
we'll-
actually want to know. I want to hear.
We'll ask
Hold
the
on.
Do you
underboss.
really,
On it-
want to start off on that note?
I just want a number. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this show?
It was probably about a 5 for me.
Okay.
That's not bad.
That's better than I actually
That's not
thought.
bad.
Better than
Yeah, a 2
better
or
than
a
the
1.
original movie, as I remembered it.
Okay.
All right. I mean, it was kind of a reimagining, wasn't it?
It
as
was
opposed to a.
It was a
like
prequel.
It was a
It was
prequel.
basically a prequel series
prequel.
leading up to the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, is that how it worked? Okay. I was trying to figure out, I'm trying to remember back to the original movie and how does this all work, but okay, so it's a prequel. All
So
right.
yes, this
Fair.
The Age of Resistance is a prequel series to The Dark Crystal, which came out in 1984, 85, in 1982,
I think it's 1982.
early 80s.
Before you both were born.
Yeah, basically. Definitely
Still
me.
awesome.
I don't know about Grimlock over here,
yeah,
but
I know. I was born. I wasn't watching anything.
you know what? Valid. Yeah, the Age of Resistance is we follow basically the world that the Dark Crystal takes place in before the movie actually takes place. We
And
have
if you haven't seen the Dark Crystal, the original movie, my suggestion is see that first before you go to the Age of Resistance, because it ruins the movie aspect of it. Because of the plot
Even though
lines.
chronologically,
yes, because it
Age of
ruins
Resistance is
plot lines.
first.
Yes,
Okay, all right.
I mean, I can see that.
because it ruins like certain things.
kind of like how George Lucas ruined Star Wars
Wow, we're just going right onto the bait right now, huh?
with
Patrol.
episodes 1, 2, and 3.
That was a bad prequel, okay?
Sorry, back on track. I apologize.
Thank you.
Fine.
My mind
That's fine.
meandered.
Yeah, because you saw
So let's-
Star Wars. Yeah, all right.
All right.
So, with this prequel series, we have Jim Henson's Creature Shop, his whole studio, working again with a lot of the cast and crew who worked on the initial Dark Crystal movie.
And his children taking up the mantle,
Yep,
Brian and Lisa Henson.
yep, they were in charge of this whole project, and yes, I myself am also very nostalgic about this movie. It was one of the first like all puppet movies that I had ever seen.
I think it's the only old puppet movie
I mean, valid. That's valid.
Is it?
without humans in it.
It
All
might
right,
be.
guys, you're gonna have to chime in on our YouTube channel and let us know if that is incorrect.
Fact check
And that
us.
fact check.
Yes, fact checks us. I think I'm
Yeah.
right, but
I'm gonna go
you know.
hashtag fake news on that.
Fake
but-
news. Oh, here we go.
Oh my gosh. All right. I watched this movie about the same time I watched Labyrinth when I was the movie when I was a kid. It was about the same time as
Great
Labyrinth.
movie.
So like
Great movie.
the
Oh,
magic of like
that's a
Jim
great
Henson
movie.
Creature Shop, like that was like it was just kind of like ingrained in my head that like these were both like good movies.
Okay.
So like I grew up loving the Dark Crystal, like the artistic ideas of it. Like it's story for the Dark Crystal was kind of not its forte. It was more of its art direction that I think made people love it. And that's a fair assessment, right?
Yeah, because
it's-
like when you're an adult and you rewatch the movie, you kind of like
you notice all the little
things.
details that makes it
that-
seem like it's a living world, even
Yeah.
though
Sure.
you know it's all puppets.
Okay.
So that's a little preamble about the Dark Crystal. If you haven't seen it yet,
So if
Watch
you
it.
are a CGI person who only likes CGI, do not watch this movie. You will be very disappointed.
That's one thing I give great respect to is the fact that CGI has made movie making in a lot of ways so easy, but so cheap
yeah.
in a certain sense, right? I love the fact that it's organic.
yeah,
And that is something that really plays well in my mind for this show and for the original movie.
Yeah.
Because all these artists worked on these sets
Yep.
and the puppets and everything, and you can
Yes.
see all these great details.
Yes.
and the fact
Within-
that every character and creature you see is something that if you were actually like there on the set, you could actually reach out and touch. I think that adds a lot of weight to the world.
So, since you were mentioning Star Wars, sir, one of the voice actors is from Star Wars. Is one.
Oh,
of the
Mark
sketches.
Hamill?
Yes.
Yeah, he plays one of the bad guys. He plays
course
one of
he
the
does.
Skeksis. Of course, it's Mark
Of
Hamill.
course, he has to play a bad guy.
Of course.
You don't want to be in
His
Gelfling.
best role was in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Sorry.
No, it wasn't. It was Return of the Joker. But anyways,
Which Skeksis was he?
He was the scientist.
The scientist Skeksis.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
the
So-
weakest one of them all, apparently.
What is the? Am I saying this correctly? Because singular Skeksis would it be a Skeksy?
I'm not
I would
sure.
say yes, because whenever they talk about the Skeksis, it's always in like the group
Yeah.
context. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
never
like,
they never
like
address
they're like one form mind or whatever. So
they never address one like singularly as like a Skeksy. But I'd imagine that would be the case.
So if you do watch the series, there is an homage to the labyrinth, in the series. I don't know if you caught it. I did.
I'm not sure that I did actually.
Okay. So you know how those spiders were talking
Oh yeah, they made there's a reference in Labyrinth
with the hands, with the talking hands.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Yeah, they
okay.
made-
Yeah.
Yep. Good call. Good call.
I did
Nice
notice
catch
that
there.
actually. when you mentioned that earlier, like an homage
catch.
to Labyrinth, I'm like, what was there like a Bowie statue somewhere that I
Yes.
didn't see?
Yes, there was
one statue of
There was
Bowie.
the Goblin King just standing there. No,
there wasn't.
it was Hobble or Hoggle, whatever his
Hoggle.
name is.
So anyway, to kind of tell like a generalized idea, because we don't
Yeah.
want to spoil the series for you guys, we want to just like
Why not? Let's just spoil it.
I want to
Guys,
spoil
stop
it. Yep.
watching. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
if you are watching right now, there are spoilers.
I mean, okay. So the Age of Resistance,
Yep.
we follow 3 main protagonists: Rion, Brea, and Deet,
Deet. Yep.
or
Deet.
Deetra, which is her full name. They are different sub-races of Gelfling.
And different clans.
Yeah, different clans and
Which is
sub-races,
interesting.
which was something that we never really thought about in the initial Dark
Yeah.
Crystal movie, but like has kind of been expanded through like all the comics and the prequel
Certainly.
novels, and that there are different clans of Gelfling, and they don't all get along. Like,
No, they don't. And it's a lot of matriarch society.
yes, it's a very matriarchal society,
like,
which
with all the clans, which
Cool.
is interesting.
I'm for a matriarchal society. Like I don't see the problem with that. We see a lot of like patriarchal societies in fantasy. Why not a few
fine.
matriarchal ones? It's cool.
Ogra is still old and angry.
She's just Yoda and Gandalf. Like I'm putting it out there.
Yoda and Gandalf.
Aughra
Well-
is just Yoda and Gandalf mixed together.
Frank Oz
think
did
that's
do Yoda's
probably-
voice, but I'm just saying. She's kind of like the old crone in the woods, especially the eye movement and just some of the stuff like she was doing, like when she was doing her magic. She was like, he's like, that doesn't work.
Yeah, she's a bit crazy.
Yep. How about Archer?
That's a new
one.
mystic.
So
Archer was actually pretty interesting.
yeah, we get introduced to something that we didn't see in the Dark Crystal like at all, which was like when we see the race known as the Mystics, they're always very passive, very slow and methodical.
Yeah.
Very slow to action is what I kind of gathered.
But there
from them.
was one in the original movie.
Yeah, there was one in the original movie.
Okay.
We
All
saw.
right. I thought you were saying that this was a brand new thing.
No.
No,
Seeing
no,
a
no.
mystic that was
We're not
active.
in like
Okay.
not in the whole collective of the mystic
I see.
thing. And it was so he was communicating with Ogra. He was like sending those messages, and all I could think was like, "Message for you, sir,"
yeah.
from Mighty Python, because it was leading her the way. It was kind of funny.
It's
Okay.
it's this whole thing about the mystics in the first movies. They're gentle. They don't hurt things.
Yep.
But in this series, we see a mystic, one, carrying a weapon, and
Yep.
two, being really proficient with it.
Yeah.
Like almost murdering someone proficient with it. And the only reason he didn't finish murdering him off was because he was also hurting himself in the process.
Yes. Right.
So,
Uh,
go ahead.
So no, I was gonna. Well, you saw the last episode. Oh wait, you saw. The
I
last
saw
episode.
the last episode. I know exactly what happened. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because it's a big moment.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's pretty.
The Mystic has a very
interesting.
Archer has a very big moment.
Yes,
and is
yes, he
pivotal
does.
to the end of the story.
So his counterpart, Hunter, is a Skeksis that is not high society. He doesn't like to live in the castle. He likes to go out and kill things. And apparently all the other Skeksis are afraid of him, which I
Well,
thought
yeah.
was kind of interesting. Even like the Emperor, who's this, huge bad guy, that everybody's scared. He's even scared of him. And it was kind of interesting that he comes in and some of the fight scenes with the Skeksis with the Hunter was actually interesting.
Yeah.
So there was a detail I noticed about the Hunter that I didn't notice on any of the other Skeksis. The Hunter has 4 arms.
They all have 4 arms.
They never seem to use them, though.
Yeah, you haven't caught up to that yet.
I'm just saying, like, from where I'm at in the series, I'm on episode 9. Like, I'm almost done with the series. I just ran out of time.
I know, slacking. Come
Hey,
on,
I got
Underboss did
I
it.
had just got a new job. Okay, man?
Oh, okay.
Mad props to Phil for the brand new job.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
job,
you.
Phil.
Unemployment stinks, guys. I do not recommend. 0 out of 10 would not recommend. Yeah, so
If you remember the original movie, when they were combining, you could see their extra arms coming up when they combined together.
But in the first movie too, like when Chamberlain gets violently derobed and cast
Oh,
out,
you
he
mean the
does-
most annoying character of all of them?
Gelfling.
I
The
wanted
chamber.
to literally tear my ears off every time he spoke.
He doesn't he remind you of like a Starscream? Like he's always in the
No.
background trying to, like.
Starscream was cool.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
I
But-
remind you of the time Starscream took over the Decepticons because Megatron had a cold.
So, anyways,
His voice box is broken. I'm the new leader. It's like,
But-
excuse you? He's
awesome.
right there.
he
He can hear you.
I
He's
like
a gun. He can't do anything. He just he just transforms into the gun. It's like, can someone fire me so I can be useful?
Okay, we're not
right,
thinking about this. Anyways, but I like how he's behind the scenes manipulating everybody,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it just makes the whatever benefits him. That's
Yes.
what he's doing, and it's always like, what is he doing now? You know. And he's like, "You took my seat, so I'm just gonna do all this other stuff." You know, and it's like,
Can I
You got
finish
it.
my thought that I was going to say before I got
Of
interrupted?
course.
"Oh,
Of
no,
course, go for
no,
it.
you can't."
When the Chamberlain got cast out in the first movie, they tear off all of his his garments and things like that.
Yes.
He's only got 2 arms.
No, there are other arms on the side of him. Yeah. And you can
Maybe
see
it
him.
was cold.
Maybe he's gone.
Okay, you know what? It's granted it's been a while since I've seen the movie, so I'll take your
believe
word
there
for
are
it for right
words.
now, but I doubt it. Moving on.
Anyway, yeah. I didn't notice the arms either, honestly, on Chamberlain when he got de-garmented, if that's what you want to call it.
Remember that movie's rated G.
Disrobed.
I think
PG.
So what
Right?
did you?
No, it was G.
It was G?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was G. It was supposed to be actually. Jim Henson wanted to make it more scarier, but the people were like, "No, no, no." We
Well,
can't
you're
do
talking
that."
the original movie.
The
Yeah.
original
The
movie.
original
yeah.
movie was G. Oh, it was
Yeah.
on,
Where
on Netflix. It was PG.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was PG rated. All right. So, yes, continue.
So through this series we learned that one, the Skeksis are actually liked by most of the populace, mostly because the populace doesn't know the truth about the Skeksis.
Yeah, they believe they're the lords of the shard.
Yep, the crystal.
Lords of
Lord
the Crystal. Excuse me.
Because
Lords of the Crystal.
Ogra got like tricked because she wanted to stargaze apparently because that's more important than protecting
Doing
your
your
own
job.
planet. Yeah, doing your job. Like she was watching Netflix all day. So, yeah, you know what? I don't feel like doing it. Let me watch Netflix and binge
For
watch
1,000
this
years.
for 1,000 years, and you guys can take care of what's going on.
So our main character Rianne finds out the truth, and immediately when the Skeksis realize that he's learned what's actually going on, they start playing the field. They're trying to make everyone not believe him. They're trying to convince the world that
And-
he's crazy.
And how did he find out that they were evil?
Oh, they killed his girlfriend
How and why did they do that?
because everything should die and they don't want to. They are
He's
the
missing.
most
He's missing.
they are the most basic of all villains. They want immortality.
That's because the life essence of the crystal that they were taking from to live forever is not sustaining them, so they needed to find a new way to do that. And if you remember in the original movie, Gelflings makes them a lot younger, and that's when they stabbed her and they took her essence.
Yep. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I
Yep.
just shortened it to a simple
Yeah, well,
sentence.
I wanted to explain. Deal with it.
All right, fine. So yeah, long and short of it is the Skeksis want to live forever, so they start basically draining all the Gelflings they can get their hands of their life essence. And it works. Like they drink it and they get younger and stronger for a short amount of time. As things you consume tend to leave your body soon thereafter. So their whole thing is like, oh, we're just going to keep getting more and more. But like when you overuse any resource, eventually you're going to run out, which leads to, where we are in the movie where they think the Gelfling are all extinct. I mean, that's just the inevitable reality of that situation.
They haven't heard about the prophecy
Well,
either.
Yeah.
All All right, so I'm still failing to see the connection here between the prequel and how we get to the movie.
Really?
Well-
you don't see the.
Well, I mean, the way the season ends, are there more planned seasons?
Yes. There should be. I hope so, because if not, they're just gonna leave us
Because
in the
then-
dark and like, well,
Yeah, like
okay.
how did the Gelflings almost become extinct?
Yeah, how did Ogra get the
Right?
Shaw? You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
what's going
Right.
on here? But they did make the can't say that.
Go ahead.
The Garthen starts to appear at the last episode.
Yes.
So we're gonna start getting more of those.
Was
So
it
they're
called
gonna-
the darkening? Or,
Yeah, the darkening was something new that
Yeah.
was like
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I did find intriguing is the relationships. So
Oh.
so you have like the Emperor's son who's basically, he's almost kind of like the brat kid who expects to be the head of the army type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
For
The
for
head
his
guard,
father.
yeah.
But he's not ready.
No.
No.
And and when he finds out the truth about the Skeksis, the Skeksis find it very easy to kind of make him out to be like a crazy,
Yeah.
outlier,
A lunatic.
lunatic, basically, even to his father. In his father's eyes, he's a disappointment anyway at this point,
Yeah.
right? So he's already kind of soured on him. So I found those relationships to be very interesting.
Yeah.
The queen
And-
and her daughters
Yeah.
was actually very interesting too, between the three sisters,
Mm-hmm.
and how she related to the different sisters like differently, and how the middle one became crazy.
It was the oldest.
Was it the oldest?
Yeah.
Okay.
Celadon is the oldest.
Okay.
Not the one with the thing on her face?
No,
No,
that was
that-
that was the middle sister.
That
That
was
was
the
the
middle
warrior.
sister,
That was the
yeah.
warrior
That's the warrior
princess.
one.
That's right. That's right.
So, and how the youngest actually picks up the mantle and starts learning, how to be a
Better
princess,
ruler.
a better ruler through this, because all she was doing was hiding in books.
Can we talk about the most awkward hug in puppet history?
Which one?
Or the most awkward kiss in history, which was all of them.
Oh,
The fact
yeah.
that all these puppets when
'cause-
they kiss is uncomfortable to watch.
Because it's like dream fasting. Oh, I wanted to kiss you. Well, what are you doing now? Oh, okay. I'm like, yeah.
Cool, I get
Alright.
it.
How about when the Gelfling hugs the what is it called? The spider thing.
Yeah, he's like, oh, okay.
I mean, if a spider ever wanted to hug you, what would you do?
Probably die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Arachnophobia is a very serious thing, guys.
So,
Alright.
what did you think of what is it? Cup? What is his name?
Hup.
Hup. The
The
podling.
little podling, little hobbit looking dude.
He wants to become a
paladin.
and he has the magic spoon.
That's right. Yep.
I thought
They
he was
were-
funny.
Yeah.
I think
Weren't they the scientists? They were like the no. What were those the creatures that were
Podlings.
yeah, were they, but they were scientists, weren't they?
No, they were
No.
servants.
They were
They were
servants.
servants, yeah.
They're basically like in this world, their podlings are basically like the lowest, quote unquote, lowest race. Like they're
Of
the smallest.
intelligence, yeah.
They're the smallest. They're the most easy to control. So the Skeksis
So they
basically
were
have
being
them as
used
slaves.
okay, but they were being used in the labs, right?
Yes, in
Yeah.
the movie,
Yeah.
they're used by
Yeah.
the scientists to extract essence.
Yeah. Okay. So go on about Hup.
I think he had a lot of heart. It was very interesting how we actually get to see a different podling come out, and like you see the difference between the different Gelflings
Yep.
societies and how they treat each other. And he's like, "Don't go near them. They don't like you, Da da da." And she's coming out from the caves, and she doesn't know better. And
That's deep, by the way. Comes out from the caves.
Yes, deet. And
We're just using pronouns. No one's gonna know who we're talking about.
yeah, deet.
Yep.
Oops, sorry. So it was kind of interesting because he had a lot of courage,
Yep.
and he was like a different character because it wasn't a Gelfling. It was, a hobbling, and
Yep.
I thought it was a good character. So you could understand certain things that he said,
Yeah.
which was kind of interesting because his other race, you never understand it. Like,
Yeah, the podlings speak their own
Podling.
like
gibberish.
language that all the characters understand, but we as the audience aren't privy to. So the fact that Hup is able to speak both the podling language and a language that
The common language.
The common language, yeah, that we understand. Like I thought that was interesting.
Yep.
I was initially worried that because I convinced both my parents to watch this show. My dad's already like 3 episodes in. He started watching it last night. He already thinks Hup is like the best character.
Spoon.
He just likes the fact that this little guy's got so much heart, and he's like so sincere about what he wants.
Yeah, and like courage when he went against Hunter, it was like, really, with a spoon, not even a weapon, a spoon.
Yep.
Yeah, he went up with the most scary Skeksis of them all with a wooden spoon, and he lived.
Yep.
Shockingly.
Yep.
Yeah, I like Hup. Your thoughts on Hup?
No, endearing character for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it was tough for me to kind of get too emotionally involved with any of them because I'm not just a big fan of the lore, I guess you could say, but yeah, I mean, that definitely there are definitely some moments in the show that are endearing, and it happens to revolve around characters like Hup, characters even like the little the Gelfling pet there. That looks kind of like a cross between animal and an Ewok.
Yeah, Fizzgig.
Fizzgig, and stuff like that, and you kind of like, oh, that's kind of a cute moment, that type of thing, but I don't know, I have to say I'm really disappointed because I don't share the enthusiasm that you guys do about this. I feel bad, especially because I kind of rained on your parade a little bit with Godzilla.
No, that's fair. If everyone liked the same things, the world would be a boring place. That's why we have.
That's actually a good point.
Yeah. But you gave it a 5, so I'm fine with that. It's not like a 2 or a 1.
No.
So whatever.
There were things you liked about it. It just wasn't your cup of tea.
Exactly.
Like the next season might be better.
There were good things going on about it. So
I thought it was also kind of interesting with the heretic.
Yeah, the heretic was really cool. Like a rogue Skeksis that didn't conform to the normality of Skeksis, which.
Hang out with his other roommate, the mystic, which is his other half.
Yeah.
He's like, "Are you alone?" He's like, "No, not alone."
Kinda. Not really.
Not really.
Hey, here's the other me. Look at him for several minutes. Why don't you? As he slowly walks down the stairs.
He's like, "Hurry up!
He's just It's just like the most odd couple situation. Like one is slow and methodical, and the other is like almost hyperactive and like wants to get things done like now. I genuinely laughed at that. Like, I thought that was a really funny relationship.
Well, the thing I laughed about it is like how they were describing the prophecy and what's going on with puppetry. And I was like, oh my god.
And our heroes too are just like, Deet's just like, this is a whole new world for Deet. So it's just everything is exciting and new.
Yeah. I tend to like her character the most.
It's because she's the most curious and optimistic.
Yeah.
Like,
then you're probably pretty upset about the ending then.
Yeah.
I mean, that I will say this: the ending was a little bit like foreboding. I have to say, like,
kind of a little shocking, a little bit.
A little bit of yeah, exactly. Watching her saunter off into the woods and everything wilting around, like in her path, basically everything dying. Yeah. And closing off. Was kind of a interesting thing. Also, a little bit of a gruesome scene she had there at the end. Don't you think?
Oh yeah.
I was a little surprised by the amount of gore they put into the last episode. As a matter of fact, when she turned the darkening, she absorbed it all and then turned it on the one particular Skeksis.
Yeah.
Am I ruining this for you?
no, go ahead. Like, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it regardless. So
The most disgusting Skeksis ever that needed to go.
I actually kind of laughed.
I hated her so much.
I laughed at the reaction. Oh, that didn't feel so bad. And then she explodes. And goo goes everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yes.
Oh no!
Yes, that's what happens.
Yeah,
Oh.
Oh my god.
I was also
she shot the goo.
She
did,
and it wasn't so bad to see the general go too. So,
which is one of the bad parts. Like they screwed up on. Like who is going to be the like? Does
'Cause-
he have a brother? Was that the same general from the movie? Like I'm like,
Yeah, because
they need to fix that. Oops, we screwed up.
in the movie, the general becomes the emperor after the emperor dies. Like, it's that same Skeksis.
Right. That's
so,
actually
like,
a good point.
Yeah, so I don't know if
So-
it's his twin brother or
Well,
Maybe
hence my
what's-
comment about the reimagining.
Yeah.
It felt more like a reimagining
Like,
as opposed to
they
a...
did mention that there were other Skeksis wandering around, so who knows? It could be
I hope
a
so.
twin.
Maybe.
Or
'Cause
one that looks an awful lot like him.
you guys need to fix that, all right? I'm just saying, you need to fix it.
You hear that, Lisa and Brian? Fix
You
it. I'm
fix
just kidding.
it. You just need to fix it.
So,
No, we're
anyway,
kidding. We love
Is
this
there anything
movie.
else we want to talk about with this, or can we move on to the next subject?
I think that Brian Jim
Bring in
Henson,
some dwarves maybe into the show?
Nope.
No. I think Jim Henson would be proud of his kids. I think they did a phenomenal job. And I liked it that it was all mostly practical effects.
Yep.
And the story was really good, and that's mostly what I enjoyed about it.
It's interesting you mentioned, Jim would be proud of this, because Jim Henson said when the Dark Crystal came out that there were so many stories they wanted to tell in this world that they just weren't able to fit it into one movie. They had so many plans for the Dark Crystal, but because it bombed in the box office, they weren't able to. So, like, I'm glad we're at the point now where we can explore those different those different stories that Jim wanted to tell. So,
Well, so there we go.
Yeah.
Fans of Jim Henson and his creations, rejoice. You do have a show with a lot of content and potential
Fields,
future
And maybe a
future
Labyrinth
roads to
series.
travel,
yeah.
and a Labyrinth series that would certainly get me intrigued. So a lot
I'll have
more
to
than
see
the Dark
that, yeah.
Crystal. So
But who'd you get to play young David Bowie?
we'll figure something out. We'll work on that. It'll be another show topic.
Yeah, that's another topic.
Comment below. Tell us who you would want to be the young David Bowie.
Also, tell us what you thought of the Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? Will you see
So,
it?
Yeah, exactly. So it's only been out for about a week now.
About that, yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty fresh in everyone's mind and probably in a lot of queues right now. So
Yeah.
anyway, we're gonna move on to the next subject, which is, I believe, Marvel's Sony
Yeah.
battle.
Those
Are you
shenanigans.
sure it's not like Disney, Sony?
Well, specifically,
Oh,
Sony
yes,
is targeting.
it is Disney,
it's
Sony,
Disney,
but-
Sony. It's not Marvel.
Specifically, Sony is targeting Marvel
Yeah,
in this.
Marvel is a division of Disney.
Yeah, we know.
Bow to the mouse.
No. No, that's
So-
another thing.
So what do we think of this? I mean, here we were. Everybody, let's set the stage. All the excitement a few years ago when Sony and Disney announced a partnership for
They
to bring,
brokered a deal.
they brokered a deal to bring Spider-Man into the world of the Avengers. All right. This was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
These two studio giants coming to this agreement.
Wait.
Spider-Man being a staple of the Marvel pantheon and probably the most accessible of all the heroes,
Yeah.
in terms of the appeal from young children all the way up to
Adults.
folks like myself. All right, I won't throw you into that.
people.
Yeah. Yes. I won't tell you some of the names I've been called this past week by some of our customers. Ageist that they are. Anyway. But anyway, there was a lot of excitement around that, and by all accounts, an incredibly successful integration. All right. I mean, the casting of Tom Holland was brilliant. Really brought Peter Parker to life in a way that we've never seen before, and really, it seemed like the future was bright to have Spider-Man become a staple in the Avengers. And here we are at the end of the last, this current phase of Marvel movies, cinematic universe. And now we get the announcement that
That's
the
it.
deal is off. And what we thought was going to be basically maybe a foundational piece of Phase 4 is no longer. So
Yeah. So
what does that all mean?
So I actually read into the, what that contract, like that deal actually was, and it was specifically 7 movies that Spider-Man will be allowed to be in for the MCU. Oh, I know.
7?
5 movies. 7. Tom Holland was contracted for 7 movies in total, 5 of which would take place in the MCU, which that was Captain America: Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, Endgame, and then his 2 standalone movies, Homecoming and Far From Home. Now that deal is up, and Disney wants to keep it going, and Sony's like, nope, we're done. We're backing out of it. I also read this morning that they took a few digs at Kevin Feige.
Yep.
So
Which-
much nerd rage, guys. I've been hearing it all on the interwebs.
Yeah, they were kind of saying that, Kevin was an important part, says the president of Sony, but don't credit everything to him for Spider-Man's success. And I'm reading this and I'm like, okay, tell me, apart from the Sam Raimi trilogy, which are just fun and campy, tell me a good Spider-Man movie besides Into the Spider-Verse.
I actually like the other ones.
You like the Amazing Spider-Man movies?
Yes, I did. I was waiting for the Sinister Six to come. Didn't happen.
Honestly, I thought all the Spider-Man movies were fairly good on their own right. I don't think they necessarily got Peter Parker right
No.
in those movies.
They got-
I think I'm getting the thumbs down, by the way, from our guest producer. Is he in the
the
producer
elf?
chair back
Is
there?
that the
I don't
elf?
know. All right.
Was it the elf?
Yeah.
well,
No,
he
it's
doesn't-
Los Santos.
Oh yeah. Well, see, my opinion, like you liked all the newer ones, right?
Even the Andrew Garfield movies, I felt were decent movies. I felt
Yeah.
that they were entertaining. I didn't feel like they got Peter Parker right in those.
So you think that the MCU Peter Parker is the best one?
Absolutely, I think the
Nope.
Tom Holland Peter Parker nails it nails the original character from the comic books.
Yes, no, but I just don't like Uncle Tony Stark giving him everything. There's no struggle. Peter Parker's always about struggle, and he's always struggling for something. You know what I'm saying?
So I think that
And
you
I'm
could have
missing that.
that
that.
story might have been told, but we got so many previous versions of Spider-Man, they didn't want to go back to another retelling of the character.
They don't need.
They were in a different when the Tom Holland version came about. We were in a different part of the Marvel Cinematic story phase of their larger world.
Yeah.
They didn't have the time to basically bring that whole thing back to life again. All right, so I understand what you're saying
Yeah, it's just like
about the struggle, but
like
how many times are you going to get an origin story for Peter Parker?
don't need an origin story. I'm just saying that whatever will go wrong with Peter Parker. That's my thing, and it just seems like everything is mostly going right for him.
Did you see the last movie?
Did I? No, I did not see the last movie.
Nothing went right for him.
Okay.
Literally,
I'm just
literally
like,
everything that could have
Uncle's-
gone wrong
Uncle
for
Tony
him.
Stark is here. Uncle Tony Stark here. Have a brand new tech. Here, have this. Here, that. Don't worry about
Did
it.
you see
know?
Endgame?
Yes, I did see Endgame.
Okay, so you know Uncle Tony Stark isn't there for that Spider-Man
Yeah,
movie.
I know that.
Okay,
Now.
so you can't
No,
say that.
but he still gets stuff. It's just like all shiny
Not really.
stuff.
Not
I think
really.
you're watching an episode of Not Far From Home, but Far Off the Mark,
Oh, far off the mark. Oh, I see what you
starring
did there.
Grimlock.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I just, I liked the Peter Parker in Into the Spider-Verse. Just saying. It's just me, but whatever.
You know that's
It's
supposed to be
animated.
Toby's Spider-Man, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so if you're really into this tortured soul Peter Parker Spider-Man, go see Far From Home. You'll be very happy. Trust me.
Okay, we'll see.
You'll be very pleased.
We'll see.
And that shouldn't be a spoiler for any of you out there. If you're watching the show, you've definitely seen Spider-Man Far From Home, right?
Apparently
No,
he
no.
didn't.
Los
No.
Santos hasn't. All right. All right. Anyway,
So do
So-
you think that it's gonna hurt Sony?
Absolutely.
it will certainly hurt Sony. I don't know if it's going to hurt.
Disney?
I don't know if it'll hurt Disney at this stage because I really don't know. I mean, from what they've announced for plans for future films, the very first movie that's going to kick off the next phase of MCU is basically a look back into the past of some of the characters that we've already been introduced to. Right? It's
Exactly.
Black Widow. So we're almost going to take a retrospective look here. We're really not sure how the
Well-
stories are gonna unfold for the future.
They also have mutants now, and that's a big thing with some popular mutants
Exactly,
that could fill that void.
and exactly, and that
like you guys
that's
might
why
get real cast for Wolverine.
that's why Disney probably won't be all that hurt by this development
Exactly.
because we've seen enough Spider-Man story to date and seen him at play with the Avengers that we can kind of set that aside for now.
Exactly.
And maybe by the time that becomes relevant again, maybe they will have worked out another deal. You know,
Honestly, I would like to see a Deadpool Spider-Man crossover thing.
I think
That-
Ryan Reynolds
I,
would too.
that would have been amazing, but you know.
Oh
We'll
my
see what
gosh, can you
happens.
imagine foul-mouthed Ryan Reynolds next to pure soul Tom Holland?
I think it'd be great. I think it'd be awesome.
I think that would be the perfect foil, actually. But at any rate, we're not going to see that anytime soon. So we'll have to. Sorry, everyone out there. We have to move on.
Oh
We
my
have to
God.
deal with the cards that we have been dealt. All right. So, Marvel, Sony. It's sad for all of us, but I think it really doesn't change the game plan. It sounds like the Phase 4 game plan. It's like they almost assumed that this was going to happen all along.
Yeah, probably.
So
I mean,
they
'Cause
didn't.
the
Their 5 movies were up.
knows.
They just were hoping to do it amicably to get more of Tom Holland in their MCU.
Exactly.
But if Sony, because Sony holds the executive rights of Spider-Man film adaptations, they hold the right to say no.
Right. And it sounds like, I mean, from the lineup that we've seen announced,
It's
Marvel Disney was not really planning on having any major Spider-Man storyline.
Exactly. No real small town stuff. Like,
Right.
you know,
No Secret War.
So that being said, I think we'll all still enjoy the Tom Holland Spider-Man in a Sony film going
We'll see.
forward. I think hopefully it'll be good. I mean, I think Far From Home definitely ends in a way that you realize now he's back on his own home turf, all right, and he's dealing with some really large problems for himself.
but if they're
That-
taking him away from the MCU, are they going to follow those beats at all?
I don't know. I think they should. I don't think there's really any reason for them not to. What would prevent them from doing it?
Because that's the MCU. That's not the Sonyverse.
Well, it is
They're
a
probably gonna put him
J.
into the.
Jonah Jameson is not.
Listen, all I'm saying is I'm pretty
Not
sure they're gonna.
Sonyverse?
It makes it seem like they're gonna put him into the Venomverse, like the Venom movie. Like that's what it seems like that they're probably gonna do.
Which would be that would be a very smart thing for them to do.
That's honestly that's the only thing realistically I can see them doing and having it make any modicum of sense. Like having completely disconnected from the MCU is to put it into Venom.
Put him in the Venomverse, and then people will forget the fact that he's not playing in Avengers world anymore.
Basically, yeah.
It's-
That's
and
realistically the only way I could see
But
that
also, it
working.
honors the comics. It honors it brings them back to New York City scene in the neighborhoods, dealing with very local problems. You know.
Yep.
And I think that in the Tom Holland version, we haven't really seen him do a lot of that. So
No,
I
the
think
most
that's
we saw
fine. I
was-
think it's very fine for him to take a step back from that world
The center-
stage
yeah.
to back to a more hometown type of thing. So that's why I'm not too worried about it, and I think that they can still hit the beats that we ended with on Far From Home. Personally,
Maybe.
I hope they can. I
My
hope they
gosh,
can.
can you imagine like really like bulky Venom against tiny Tom Holland Peter
You mean
Parker?
the Venom that we've been waiting for and no emo dancing?
Well, the one person that's probably really happy about this is Tom Hardy.
Yeah, probably.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's going to benefit his Venom character to know that the most logical point or place for Sony to take Spider-Man now is into
His
a
Venomverse.
confrontation with his Venomverse. So I think there's still some stuff to be excited about there.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can execute without the guidance, maybe that
Maybe they'll do
that
like
Kevin and Disney, Marvel were able to provide.
Yeah, maybe.
So hopefully,
maybe we'll see a Spider Universe live action with the 3 Spider-Mans together.
You talking about into the Spider Verse but live?
Yeah, like with the 3 other the other 2 Spider-Man.
I don't think that would work as a live action. I think it worked better because it was animated.
You never know. All right.
So, anyway,
Moving on.
We're gonna move on to another related topic. So there were a couple of announcements that came out of D23.
Yeah. That we
and
unfortunately didn't talk about.
We didn't talk about, but actually that's
Put your band hammer down.
Hammer.
and also a very big thing that wasn't a D23 announcement. I believe it was something that came out of San Diego Comic-Con
Yeah,
that we neglected to mention because it didn't have a date attached to it. But that is the fact that there's going to be a Blade movie being unleashed upon us again, which is
time.
very exciting because even though Deadpool seems to get the
attention.
nod for
Credit,
the
the
attention,
credit.
the credit for being the first
Rated
R-rated Marvel
comic book movie.
comic book movie,
It
which is
was
ridiculous because it was Blade
It was
followed by
Blade.
Punisher,
Yep.
and but
The
actually
first.
wait,
I was.
no, it was Punisher first, wasn't it? It might have been Punisher first.
No, I thought Blade
Nope.
came out in 2001.
Are we talking about the?
I'm talking about the
that might have been PG-13.
Dolph Lundgren Punisher.
There might have been PG-13.
Okay,
Ah,
well,
I think
okay.
it was
Blade
radar.
was the first successful one.
How'd you pronounce that?
I'm not going to pronounce it again. Nice try. The most
Successful. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, hey,
I
Wesley Snipes,
that made pop. Oh yeah,
he
it
was awesome.
The third
Before
one.
he got arrested for tax evasion.
Yeah, before he became a fugitive to the IRS. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I mean, Blade was fantastic. That trilogy of movies was fun. Introduced us to a whole new world of Marvel horror. All right.
Yeah, which they should be.
And people don't even. A lot of people didn't even like make the connection when those movies came out that was even a comic book.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
They thought it was like a
so-
vampire movie.
Yeah, they just
And I
thought it was
like,
a vampire movie.
No, he's Marvel. It's a Marvel thing,
Yep.
and
That also had
You
Ryan
know.
Reynolds in it.
yes,
Oh, Blade 3 did. Blade
Yes.
Trinity had Ryan Reynolds as Hannibal.
yeah.
Yep, he was Hannibal.
With the little vampire dog.
I'm getting Los Santos over there is giving me like some signs. I don't know what he wants me to say, but I don't know.
So
Maybe he'll learn how to use the mic and he
so,
can pipe in.
I know you guys will.
Punisher was first. Blade was fourth.
Blade was fourth.
For rated R movies.
Yeah, it goes Punisher, The Crow,
The
Judge
Crow.
Dredd, then Blade.
Judge
Oh,
Dredd.
Judge Dredd.
How did I forget
the
the
law.
Oh, that is a comic movie. Oh,
How did I forget the Crow?
I don't know.
Oh,
I
how'd you
don't know.
forget the Crow?
Because it's not Marvel. Because
It's not
one of the big two.
You guys always talk about DC and Marvel, but you forget the
Hey.
independent comics, guys.
That's right, that's right.
I actually genuinely liked The Crow, like both as the comic and the movie. Like
And I
those
just
were.
gotta say, Punisher, the first. Yes. Thank you.
Correction, missed one. It was actually Blade was fifth.
Oh,
Darkman was second.
oh Darkman, another Sam Raimi film.
Oh.
Another Sam Raimi film. Okay, so
DVD.
Sam Raimi played with the Darkman before he did Spider-Man. So, all right, that's very cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, voice of above.
we'll have to play a game of Guess Who the Voice Is at some point.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's pretty cool. So we got a little bit of a lesson there. But yeah, I mean, I think, getting back to the whole Blade discussion, I don't know when they're planning on releasing the new version. You mentioned to me the actor. And
I did read that Doctor Strange is going to be entering into the monster universes of Marvel. That's what's going to happen.
Okay.
So that's maybe where Blade
Perhaps.
comes in or
Perhaps.
whatever. Who knows?
But who's the actor that's going to play?
So I'm gonna try and pronounce this as best I can. I'm almost certain I'm gonna get it wrong, so please forgive me for that. But I'm gonna do the best I can.
Mock him mercilessly.
Mahershala Ali. That sounds about right.
You did a lot better than I would have. So
I know I did better than
I
he
would have
could have done
butchered.
it.
Yes. It would
So-
be like. What?
And for
Klaatu Barata.
we're not talking Star Trek. Get that out of here.
That's Star Trek.
No.
That's Evil Dead,
That's
dude.
Army of
Of
Darkness.
Darkness. Oh.
It sounded like Klingon, man.
Okay.
For anyone who has seen Into the Spider-Verse, Uncle Aaron is the guy who's going to be the voice actor for Uncle Aaron is going to be Blade. So
Okay.
there you go.
Awesome.
That ties back to the last thing we were talking about.
So hopefully,
in some abstract way, I'm sure.
I want to see that sooner rather than later. So hopefully they'll give us an announcement on the schedule pretty soon, and I don't know, maybe we won't have to wait until 2021 to see it. Probably not though. Probably a 2021 release.
Maybe.
2022.
Or 2022. Yeah. All right. So that's not all though. So out of D23, we did have an announcement that came as a great surprise to me, as a matter of fact. But I have a good friend of mine who is a massive fan of Mark Spector, the Moon Knight.
Isn't he like Batman's?
I was just about to
counterpart?
say they say he's kind of like the D-list Batman.
I'm not sure. I don't know anything about the character, but that's what I've heard. And so I don't know if this is true. So don't.
All I can say with any certainty is Moon Knight has no relation to Moon Boy or Moon Girl, and definitely not to Devil Dinosaur.
Is he a Sailor Scout?
No, he's not a Sailor Scout.
Okay.
Sailor Moon.
Does he have the
That
power
would
of
be
the moon?
really, really disparate in its lineup. All the Sailor Scouts and then just Moon Knight. It's like, wait, where did he come from? He's off screen. They just told him to get off the screen.
He's just hanging out.
He's the guy who gets coffee for everyone.
So Moon Knight is an intriguing character because he's crazy. All right, he's a lunatic. The character itself, I think, because of that, is very unpredictable on the page. Recent iterations in the comic books have done a very good job highlighting his multiple personality disorder problems. All right,
Ooh.
they have not executed very well, however, in the story. But I'm really intrigued to see it be brought to the screen. And do we know if it's going to be brought to the small screen or the big screen?
I think it's small screen.
It is going to be small screen?
I think so.
Okay. So I'm hoping, I know that Disney Plus is going to be featuring everything up to almost like a PG-13 level. And they're going to be pushing, allegedly, they're going to be pushing their harder edged fare to Hulu, which is Disney owns all or most of Hulu. They probably own it completely.
The mouse is taking over.
The House of Mouse, yes.
I mean, it is a Disney World.
But this is good news though, because now we got kind of an answer about, are they going to be able to put R-rated, or are they going to intend to put R-rated fare onto the Disney Plus service? Well, I guess Hulu, I believe, is going to be a free add-on to Disney Plus. If you get Disney Plus, I believe you also get Hulu. And so you'll be able to watch all the R-rated stuff on Hulu.
Cool.
So this is good news for people who are into the edgier Marvel characters, and hopefully we'll see Moon Knight go that track, because he really doesn't belong in a kid-oriented.
No.
Oh, like Deadpool?
Not like Deadpool. He
PG-13?
does not belong there. And so
No, we saw
hopefully we'll see.
PG-13 Deadpool. We don't want to see that again.
So hopefully we will see that come to Hulu at some point. But that's a pretty big announcement.
Yeah.
And also, in terms of street level characters, Moon Knight he's been largely absent from any, there's been rumors, back in the day with the
Whispering.
Defenders, Netflix, they were talking about Moon Knight being introduced to that.
They should have had him in there.
So now the future is bright. The future is bright with the Knight. So anyway, good stuff. Is there anything else that came out? Did we neglect to mention anything else about D23 announcements?
He-Man. Oh, wait.
He-Man's
no,
not D23.
No, that's right.
He-Man is not.
I know.
All right.
That's Hasbro, and we don't talk about
It's
that.
not Hasbro.
I'm going to do everything I can to get you angry.
Mattel, right?
Yes.
Mattel owned He-Man. in the mass mishaps of the universe.
The missteps of the universe.
Bad movies.
Orko, whatever his name is.
Orko, yeah. I'm surprised did you guys see the trailer for the new Star Wars?
For the Mandalorian?
No, I mean for the
No,
last.
the ninth Star Wars
the ninth
movie.
Star. Oh,
I mean,
do you really care that much?
Not really. I thought it was just cool that she had a red lightsaber and she joined the dark side. And I thought that was interesting. That's
I
about
haven't
it.
seen the trailer yet. You just ruined it for me.
Oh
Thanks.
my god, I ruined
Thanks,
the
Grim.
spoiler! Oh my god. I'm so, alright, fine, never mind.
I'm the only one that's allowed to spoil things here.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, at any rate, we do want to kind of mention that next month is going to be, well, it's October. And if you are anything like me,
or me.
I'm a fan of the dark stuff. I like scary campfire tales. I love Halloween season. And so we're going to be featuring a lot of talk about some of the scarier side of pop culture next month. And so we'd love to hear from you about some of the stuff that you would like for us to talk about. So please chime in, let us know, and we might work it into the show. We are for sure, because it just came out this past weekend, we will be featuring It Chapter 2, which is basically lighting up the box office right now. And so we're going to be holding that conversation for next month, and we look forward to discussing it with you all. Some on the panel have already seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's just me.
just Phil right now, but
I dealt with an evil clown yesterday, so I don't think I need to see Pennywise.
tune into a Grimlock show for more on that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, we really thank you for watching this episode of Great Stories Pop Culture Talk. We look forward to spending some more time with you and with these wonderful subjects next month. And so thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.